All right, everybody, welcome back to the Chasing Winners YouTube channel. You may notice somebody's missing from the NFL podcasts. Brian Baumohl decided he couldn't make it tonight, so he let the inmates run the asylum for this college football show. I am JP Lyon, Viking fan JP on Twitter, and with me we have Kyle Mastaloni, K Mastaloni on Twitter. What's up, Kyle?
Not much. Excited to talk some college football. It's something we were both pretty passionate about doing. Ryan's gonna join every once in a while when he can make it here. So yeah, super excited. New season upon us. The Canes are actually good this year, or should be good. It's gonna be an interesting time. Your Bears are coming off of a Big 12 championship, so a little better place. But we'll see what happens this season.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this season as well. We haven't done a college football show before, but we did the NFL one last year, and Ryan gave us the okay to do this year. Um, so without further ado, might as well just get into it. We didn't do this last week with week 0. There weren't a ton of great games, but Kyle and I have for the last year. We do this little pick 'em each week with each other. So we go through 12 to 15 games. We each pick a side, and then whoever's up at the end of the year gives or pays out the winner. So we figured that might be a good format for this podcast. Just go through. Not every game we're gonna do. We might throw up our cards later in the week on Twitter if you guys are interested. But we'll go through kind of the biggest games each week and just go through, give our preview of them, give our pick, and then at the end we can go through kind of best bets among the entire slate. Maybe we have a pick from Ryan every once in a while. That sound good to you, Kyle?
Yeah, sounds good. Let's hop into it here.
All right. What game do you want to start with, Kyle?
Let's just go in order here. So we got the Thursday night game to kick us off week 1. There are two pretty big Thursday night games. We're gonna go over one of them here. It's the Backyard Brawl, the first time it's being played in years, a rivalry that a lot of us grew up with, especially here on the East Coast. For me, Big East fan growing up, saw these guys play each other all the time. West Virginia and Pitt. So a few interesting storylines here. New quarterbacks on both sides of the ball. Pitt replacing an offensive coordinator, as well as Jordan Addison, wide receiver, transferring, and and obviously losing an NFL quality quarterback in Kenny Pickett. So JP, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, to me, I'm looking more at the West Virginia side. I like JT Daniels a lot. It's important for their secondary to start strong against Caden Slovis, who's coming off that, kind of a mess last year at USC. They got a lot of transfers in that secondary in West Virginia, and I really think that JT Daniels can be a good quarterback, and this West Virginia system might be the right spot for him to land as long as he stays healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you here on the West Virginia side. How about, I'm not sure if you saw this on Twitter, but or on social media, but Slovis is out here talking shit for Pitt. He,
That's the exact way to fit in when you're moving 1,000 miles across the country, and you gotta ingratiate yourself after you're trying to replace Kenny Pickett's obviously going to be big shoes to fill. Um, but he knows that those guys don't like West Virginia, and the West Virginia guys don't like Pitt. So if you can insert yourself into that rivalry on one side or the other, that's exactly what you got to do.
yeah, and it's not even just Pickett that they're losing. Obviously, they're gaining Slovis, but they lost their offensive coordinator, which I think is going to be a big part of this game as well, and a big part of this season. I think they're a little overrated where they are right now, Pitt. A ACC guy. I wish the best. I wish we win. I wish we win all of our non-conference games so we look as good as possible. So the Canes look as good as possible coming out. But don't think that's going to happen here. Going to be a close game all the way through. I have West Virginia plus 7.5 too. Maybe even outright. We'll see. But definitely like the 7.5.
Yeah, I think it's incredibly fitting that this podcast with one Big 12 guy and one ACC guy starts off with a classic battle of Big 12 versus ACC. And for me, between these two quarterbacks, I'm going to take the one that wasn't involved in USC's ineptitude last year and the side that's going to get over a touchdown. So I am on West Virginia plus 7.5 as well.
All right, moving on here. We are going to the Chick-fil-A kickoff game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, 3:30 ABC on Saturday. Oregon playing Georgia. Of course, Georgia's first game coming off of a national championship. Oregon also new coach. We stole their guy, and Bo Nix somehow resurfacing at Oregon this year. So what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how Bo Nix plays there. He's obviously a pretty good playmaker at Auburn, but he wasn't able to lead them to much success down there. We're looking at the Dan Lanning Bowl, as I saw it termed on Twitter. Dan Lanning's the new head coach at Oregon, former Georgia defensive coordinator. So Georgia trying to replace a bunch of players, especially on defense with all those draft picks, and they're replacing their defensive coordinator. It's going to be interesting to see kind of what this team looks like. Still going to have that great running game, though, even though you don't really know who the running backs are anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you could really turn ahead on Georgia here. I have Georgia minus 17. I know it's a tough deep spread for week one, but I just think they're too good. I think they're going to get over the hump. I think there's a lot of questions surrounding Oregon right now as well. So I like UG, and they say it's a neutral site game, but it's a home game in Atlanta for Georgia. So I'm definitely taking Georgia minus 17 here.
Yeah, definitely closer to a home game than anything. Um, I I had Georgia. Last year they opened the season with that big win over Clemson, albeit less exciting than people thought. And they don't have most of the pieces from that championship team, but I think they can still cover it here over the Ducks. So I am also taking Georgia minus 17. This might be a theme here.
Yeah. Um, so then we have probably one of the most interesting games of the slate. I think there's a lot of storylines going into this one, with Cincinnati being one of the I spoiled what the game is, but Cincinnati being one of the top group of five teams. Arkansas being a Power Five team, kind of on the fringe of something great over there with Sam Pittman. Definitely a culture fit there. So Cincinnati at Arkansas. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think, Cincinnati obviously losing Desmond Ritter hurts. Evan Prater or Ben Bryant's going to get a quick test here against the Razorbacks, and it's really hard to replace all the talent they had last year in the secondary. On the Arkansas side of the ball, KJ Jefferson is playing really well, and he needs to take another step forward this year without his favorite receiver last year, Traylon Burks.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is gonna be like I said, one of the games of the week. I'm definitely Well, it's at 3:30, so I'm actually going to be watching the Canes demolish Bethune-Cookman, but I'll definitely have my eye on the score of this one. So I'm definitely leaning Arkansas here. Lines minus 6.5. I think home field advantage should bring them over the edge. They should win by a touchdown. I mean, anything can happen in college football, as we all know, but definitely leaning Arkansas.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I think Cincinnati probably needs to win this game to have a chance at going back to the CFP this year. But it's going to be really difficult to replicate their success last year without their quarterback and Sauce Gardner. So I say
Yes,
Arkansas starts home or starts the season strong at home, and they put up enough points to cover. Uh, I'm not sure that Miami's going to make the TVs at the tailgate before the Baylor game on Saturday. I think that might be more Oregon, Georgia, and Cincinnati, Arkansas, but um, we'll see about that.
Yeah, that's a lot more logical, but as you can see, I'm not logical about my Canes fandom at times. I Every year I think we're going places and it never happens. Um, all right, so next we go to Florida. We go to the Swamp. Utah's going in there. One of the premier teams from last year, of course, gave Ohio State a hell of a game in the Rose Bowl, even though Ohio State was missing a ton of players. But let's leave that one out. Utah's a 3-point favorite on the road. JP, what are you thinking?
Yeah, they're bringing back most of the production on offense and defense, outside of a couple of linebackers that were key for them last year. Um, they converted third downs really well last year, and I have a stat here that says they are 23-0 over the last 8 seasons when they convert 50% or more of their third downs. So they're just unbeatable when they convert third downs. I think, kind of hot take, but maybe if Charlie Brewer doesn't start the quarterback as quarterback for them last year, maybe they actually make the CFP, and they're not in the Rose Bowl against Ohio State. They might have kept Cincinnati out last year. So as far as Florida goes, Billy Napier coming in, Anthony Richardson's the guy now. The defense wasn't terrible last year, but it wasn't very good. And they need more of a pass rush, and they need to get some takeaways on defense now.
Yeah, and you mentioned Utah possibly making a run last year. They're definitely a dark horse to make one this year too. It's really only USC and maybe Oregon standing in their way in the Pac-12 this year. So that definitely a shot for them. I think this line's a bit too low. I don't know if Florida has what it takes to compete with all their returning talent on Utah. So I'm definitely going Utah -3 here, and I think the theme's going to continue based on your thoughts on the game.
Yeah, I just with all the continuity in Utah as they fight to establish what control over what's left of the Pac-12, or boost their resume for an eventual Big 12 bid. I don't think the Florida defense is going to be able to stop them from scoring. So 3 points is not enough here. It's Utah -3 for me.
Yeah, they might be Vegas might be setting us up for a trap. They might know
Oh, for
something,
sure.
but we'll see what
If
happens.
we're on the same side in these games, then that's not a good sign for it. We're just probably going to be wherever the public is.
And then next, the national game of the week, obviously, a game that's going to write a lot of storylines for the rest of the season. I mean, this is big tone setter for both teams. Is Notre Dame overrated like they always are? Is Ohio State going to figure it out on the defensive side of the ball? Is Marcus Freeman the answer for Notre Dame to as the new head coach? A lot of questions coming into this game. A lot of things are going to be answered probably. Notre Dame, Ohio State, Ohio Stadium. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I guess I'll start with Ohio State because I don't know what you say about their offense that hasn't already been said. If you have multiple Heisman candidates, then that usually means you're pretty good on offense. The defense last year started slow, kind of like the rest of the team, but they got better as time went on, and their secondary could use an improvement, but it doesn't really matter when you score 50 points a game. On the Notre Dame side, obviously you said in comes play a favorite, Marcus Freeman. I think the running game should be better this year with Tyler Buckner as a quarterback instead of Jack Cohn. And they're trying to replace some defensive talent, Kyle Hamilton, but this Brandon Joseph Senior or Brandon Joseph that is coming in to play safety now. He's supposedly a top 10, 20 draft pick, so he might even be better. And this is going to be a great game. I really hope.
Yeah, so you messaged me this earlier, and I think it's true. It's you said Notre Dame doesn't get blown out in September. They get blown out in December/January. I think that's what's going to happen here. I don't. I think that hook at 17 is going to be very valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Whether if it ends up 17.5 or if it ends up 16.5 could almost decide which side of the line I'm on here because I do it's The spread's going to be real close. I think Notre Dame actually loses by around 14, 17, but I just edge them to
Hmm.
cover that seven if it stays at 17 and a half, that is.
Yeah, I know. Um, I know CJ Stroud's a Heisman favorite, and I know it's Ohio State, but I've just never been as high on him as everyone else has, and I'm sure he'll make a fool out of me this week. But I just don't see the Irish losing by 3 scores this week. So I'm going with Notre Dame plus 17. And you were talking about like the lines changing. If we put out our picks on Saturday or Friday, then we'll account for any line adjustments there. But as for the pod, it's 17 now on DraftKings. So that's what we'll roll with for this. But I think we also have a Baumohl potential game of the year pick, but for now, just his pick on one of these games this week. We might save that for the best bets, though.
Yeah, we're gonna save that for the end here. We have one more game we wanted to cover off on. It's the Sunday night game, ABC, the only Sunday night game of the season in college football because NFL comes back and takes over that spot. So we got FSU versus LSU in the Superdome in New Orleans. Definitely interesting here. Two of the bigger names in college football. I can't believe I did this on Saturday, but I did sit through Florida State versus Duquesne, which I watched some of that game. I'm an addict. It's yeah. But I watched Florida State Duquesne. Was not impressed with FSU on the defensive side of the ball. I know they only let up 7 points, but that's very misleading against a Duquesne team that literally like couldn't move. They were one of the slowest football teams I've ever seen in my life, and we're still breaking tackles out there. So I'll just start with my pick straight up. I am on LSU -3 here. Just once again think the line's too small in a case that really is a home game for LSU, as well as I just don't think Florida State's that good as usual recently. And I hate them, but that's not a reason for a pick. JP, what are your thoughts?
It can be a reason for a pick. It doesn't have to be a good reason for a pick.
That's true.
I'm going to be honest. Neither of the teams really interest me outside of this being an unusual out of conference game for week one. Um, I'm interested to see if Southern Brian Kelly is a better coach than Midwestern Brian Kelly. That's really the only talking point that I'm going to pay attention to. But yeah, I think both teams coming off disappointing seasons. One side has a clear advantage at head coach, and I'd argue quarterback as well. Miles Brennan versus Jordan Travis. So give me the home team laying 3 on Sunday night in the Superdome.
Yeah, I want to see Brian Kelly doing some dances on the sideline.
That would
Let's
be
let let's see if he gets all this social media hype, dancing, whatever, and just goes all out on the sideline with it.
Do you think? Do you think if Arch Manning uh, decided to decommit from Texas and start looking elsewhere, do you think he's high of enough in a recruit that Brian Kelly would do those dances with him during the game?
Yes,
How
yes,
high is that? Is that for every 5 star, or is that just the elite?
that is only for son of a Manning.
Okay. Okay.
One last name could get him to do that.
Yep. Yeah.
Um, all right, so getting into so we wanted to do something. We do this pick 'em for more games a week. We'll release our picks later in the week, probably Friday, Saturday. But we wanted to highlight one pick that we're looking at outside of these 6 games that we talk about. So JP, get us started. What's your best bet of the week here?
So my best bet, I'm looking at BYU going to South Florida, and South Florida is getting 12 points. BYU is 0-3 in their last 3 games, road favorites. South Florida 5-0 last 5 games, home dogs. And I just think Gary Bohannon's going to jumpstart the USF offense in this game. I can be, Baylor Homer as much as you want to call me, but Gary Bohannon's not a bad quarterback, and he's certainly an upgrade over what UCF had before. So I like South Florida here, plus 12 at home.
Awesome. And I'm actually looking on Monday night, the Labor Day game, at Mercedes-Benz Stadium once again, pretty much a home game for Georgia Tech, just like it was for Georgia. I'm looking at Georgia Tech plus 22. I just think it's way too wide of a spread against a team that I don't think has all their issues figured out yet. Not a big believer in DJ DJ Ungungalale at quarterback. It wasn't really working out for him last year. I actually think they make a switch within a QB change within 3 or 4 weeks here to Cade Klubnik. But yeah, I think Georgia Tech covers 22. Obviously, Clemson's going to win the game. I just think the spread's way too wide here. Yeah, and also not to mention they lost both of their coordinators, offensive and defensive. So there's still going to be a lot of kinks to work out on both sides of the ball. Definitely like Georgia Tech plus 22. And then Ryan also shared a best bet of the week here. JP, you want to tell them what that is?
Yeah, he pointed out that 78% of the money on Notre Dame Ohio State was on Notre Dame, and the line had moved from 14.5 to 17.5. So huge trap play there. And he said that he loves the Buckeyes here. I'm sure he'll have a card out on Saturday and potentially earlier this week as well. But for the podcast, his best bet is Ohio State. We'll give him minus 17 there.
Yeah, so either we're gonna go down or he's gonna go down here because we both are falling right into the Notre Dame trap. So let's see what happens Saturday night.
Yeah, and hopefully, hopefully this week's an abnormality, and we're not on the same side for every big game this year. And because I don't think that makes for the most interesting podcast. But yeah, Kyle sent me his 6 games this morning, and I just kind of looked at my phone. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, that definitely doesn't always happen. If we go by last week, actually, week 0, we picked 4 games to start off our pick'em, and we were on 4 different sides in 4 games. So this is a rare occurrence where we agree with each other on literally everything, every big game we talk about here.
Yep. Yeah, I was hoping you wouldn't mention the week 0. 2 games back is not how I want to start the season, but we recovered. Any other bets that you want to watch out for as we finish up the pod here, Kyle?
I'm just gonna say my Miami win total. It's set 8.5, 9, depending on where you look. I think we definitely hit the over this year, but I also say that every year. I think this year may be different, though. We'll see.
Do you say that every year?
I do say that every year, but we got a new coach in there, and Mario Cristobal. We got a dark horse Heisman candidate quarterback in TVD. So hopefully our receivers can catch balls. That was a problem last year, but we'll see.
All right. I mean, on my end, I'm not going to touch the win total. I say that having bet it months ago, but as far as week 1 goes, dead mascot games, Houston minus 6.5 this week, and they refuse to put out a spread on Baylor. But whatever it is, just take it against Albany because RIP Judge Joy the Bear. She's going to will us to a cover this week in Waco, where it's going to be 90 degrees at 6 p.m. and I'm going to be dying.
Oh, at least you don't have bright sun beating on you at 3:30 on the sunny side of the stadium in Miami. So
Yeah, they finally gave us. Usually, I think last year our only home game that wasn't at 11 a.m. was our first one at 6 p.m. when they allow the sun to beat down all day and get really hot. Um, so maybe that tradition will continue this year as well. Then I might not go to as many home games as I thought.
time will tell. But yeah, so obviously down, up, wherever it is, sub,
Yeah,
subscribe.
subscribe, like, comment, share the video, and guys, let us know if this is something that you're interested in. Um, Obviously, we're just doing this for the first time, but if you if you like the content, and you like us, let us know. Let Ryan know you want to hear more of it. We're gonna do our best to get these out every week. Maybe if people are interested, we do something live from Kyle from Miami tailgate,
Oh,
me
no.
from a Baylor tailgate. I think that'd be pretty fun. But if nobody else is interested, then we don't have to. I'll just call Kyle. It'll be the same thing.
Yeah, that might not end well if that's posted out to the world. So
I
we'll see about that.
Early in the tailgate, just like the first 20 minutes, you'll be fine.
Maybe, maybe.
Yeah, maybe not. Well, all right, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Yeah, subscribe, like, comment, and let us know if you want to hear more. But best of luck this week. A real start of college football. Go Bears, go Canes for Kyle Mastaloni and JP Lyon. Go get some
Go
winners.
Canes.